My name is Fox Blockhead. This is the 2020 Pre-Season Fantasy F1 Rules and Preview. That's right, looking at the Formula One season from a fantasy perspective, brought to you by Fox Blockhead. So this will be a bit of a preview. We'll tell you about the private league that I've got. And can you tell I'm excited? It's race week. Australian Grand Prix coming right up. I can't wait. It's been a long off season. Anyway, let's get to it. Here we go, the preview. So the idea of Fantasy Formula One is this. Pick a team. $100 million budget, 5 drivers, 1 constructor. They've each got different values. The better ones are higher, the lower ones are lower. So you can't just stack your team with the guys who are going to get podiums every week. You've got to try and pick the drivers that are going to be the best combination of points. So you score points based on the Grand Prix performance. That's over the whole weekend, qualifying and race. You can choose one turbo driver from that squad of 5 that is $20 million or less as a value, and they get double points. But if they get a minus, and that's possible, they get minus double or double minus. Double the negative, not good. So start of qualifying on the race weekend locks the teams, and this year brand new dynamic pricing, which means that if your driver goes up in value and you sell, it's like the stock market. You keep that profit and you can reinvest in someone else. But if it goes down, you lose that money. And yeah, not as good if you're losing money. But dynamic pricing could be interesting, could be a different way to play, trying to build up those dollars to get the higher value drivers, targets. Yeah. Changes to teams. So before the season starts, you get unlimited changes within the budget, of course. But during the season, 1 free change per week. Additional changes, minus 10 points. Turbo driver can be nominated for free at any time. Change it up to qualifying. Doesn't matter, so long as it's within the rules. And you get 2 wild cards. I've got Hungary there in brackets because Hungary is the middle race, I believe, out of 21. You can't have a middle. But actually, you can have a middle, but not evenly. I don't know. Hungary. So up to and including Hungary, you get 1 wild card where you can change everything for free. After Hungary, you get another one. It doesn't carry over. Remember that. It doesn't carry over. Mega Driver, something else new for this season. You can pick a driver, anyone except for the current turbo, and they get triple points for the race weekend. You get 2 per season, same rules as the wild card. Hungary is the border. Up to and including Hungary, 1 mega driver, 1 after. So you should use it, definitely. Triple points, but be careful. A minus gets you triple minus. So think about when you should use it throughout the season. So here we go with the preview. These are the prices. So Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Leclerc, Vettel and Albon taking the top 6 spots. Sainz, the 2 Renaults, and Norris making up the top 10. Well, that makes sense based on last season. Not really pre-season testing taken into account, I don't think, too much. Because if it was, the racing points perhaps would be slightly higher. We'll talk about that a little bit later. More based on promise and who's drafted these guys into their teams, drafted their drivers. So Sainz in there had a good run into the end of the season. Ricciardo picked it up after changing teams at the start. New drivers, Esteban Ocon and Nicholas Latifi. Latifi dead last, probably more because he's driving a Williams, but that's beside the point. I'm sure he'll do well, coming up from F2 last season. Anyway, that's what you've got to try and build your $100 million budget out of. 5 drivers, but leave enough for the constructor. So if you want Mercedes, obviously 32 million out of that 100 million. You've only got 68 million left to spend on drivers. So a good constructor means you take not as good drivers. Good drivers, maybe you have to compromise on the constructor. Yeah, that's the game though. That's Formula One. That's fantasy Formula One. The season preview looks like this. So here's the scoring, the qualifying scoring. If you get to Q1, you get a point. Basically, if you get out there and you qualify, you get a point. If you progress to Q2, you get 2, Q3 you get 3. Now that's not cumulative. Basically, wherever you finish, that's the points you get. If you beat your teammate in qualifying, you get 2. If you don't qualify, -5. If you get disqualified, -10. Now there's a couple there with driver only. That's because some points will actually accumulate into the team's score for qualifying and the race for the constructor as well, and then some just refer to the driver. Qualifying bonus, if you get there, you get these points. So if you come first, if you qualify and pole, 10 bonus. So you made it to Q3, you get 3, plus you beat your teammate, obviously, if you're on pole, 15 points. If you get pole position, 15 points. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. If you get to Q3, you get your 3 for getting there, plus your 10th position, you get a point. That's 4. So it's double what you would get from Q2. So obviously better trying to get your drivers that make it into Q3. The point scoring for the race, if you finish, you get a point. Fastest lap, 5. Only one driver can take that, and they don't have to finish top 10 like the World Championship points for fastest lap. If you beat your teammate, you get 3 in the race rather than 2 in qualifying. DNF is -15, disqualified -20, so even harsher penalties there. Some of them are driver only, so take that into account when you're thinking who's going to get the points and which constructors. Points finish bonus, same as World Championship points. So I think first place is like 25, second is 18, third is 15, if I can't remember exactly. But the top 10 will get World Championship points. They'll get fantasy points based on that. Places gained and lost. So this is something that you need to take into consideration. If you start low, but you've got a good car, you can actually gain places, and if you gain 5 places, 10 points. That's your maximum. 5 places, that's it. All you have to do is make 5. But if you lose, you get a minus. So if you start in the top 10, you lose 5 places, you get -10. You start outside the top 10, you lose 5 places, -5. Just something to try and even out the field a little bit, I guess, a little bit. The driver's bonus chance. So this season, they actually are showing it as part of your fantasy dashboard. So when you look at the drivers, they're actually little tick marks, so they'll be accruing as we go. So I might be able to work that into my PowerPoint presentation rather than doing these tick marks. But the basic idea is you qualify in the top 10, or you get to Q3 5 races in a row: Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, China. If it goes ahead, Netherlands. Then you get a bonus 5 points. In the race, if you finish top 10, bonus 10. That's pretty good, right? So you want good drivers, they'll get you those things. But look out for those cheap drivers that are just scraping in 9th and 10th place in the race in qualifying. They may not be super heavyweight drivers, but they might get you these bonus points. We'll keep a tab on that during the season. Constructors' bonus chance is the same. I've completely stuffed this up. And we'll go the other way. La 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 la. I don't even know how I stuffed that up. It's the same. So for the team, both drivers qualify top 10 plus 5 after 3 races. Both drivers finish top 10 plus 10 after 3 races. So Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, Australia this weekend. Remember, Bahrain apparently behind closed doors due to coronavirus, and Vietnam first time ever having a Vietnam Grand Prix. We'll see if any of these actually go ahead. Season preview, driver battles. These are the drivers to look out for. I don't have a picture for Ocon and Latifi just yet, but when it comes to beating your teammate, this is what we need to look out for. So, George Russell beat his teammate at Williams last season every single qualifying, I believe, and most of the races as well. Sergio Perez out-qualified Stroll, I think 17 out of 21 races. So both of those guys definitely looking at trying to draft them in. Sainz, I think, out-raced Norris. I think Hamilton beat Bottas out of the season. Vettel and Leclerc were pretty even. Grosjean, Magnussen pretty even. Haas, you didn't want to touch them last season, as indicated by the Drive to Survive season. That was... Albon only had half the season against Verstappen just to see how they were going to go against each other, but Verstappen definitely had the medal over Albon, but I'm guessing they're going to get back up to it. Get back into it. Kvyat and Gasly and Albon did the switch last season, so that's why you've got the the uniform switched, and Alpha Raikkonen definitely outdid Giovinazzi. So yeah, take that all into account. These are the decisions that need to be made for the serious Formula One manager. The serious Formula One manager. And I've made those decisions in my team. Oh, to create the league. Sorry, league first, then team. So this is the league, the Blockheads. You are all welcome to join. Share the league code around. I'm going to put it in my tweets every time I post a video like this. The Blockheads league code. So what you do, you go to fantasy.formula1.com, sign up for an account, create your team, join a private league. That is the code, and I will be highlighting, I will be shouting out to those teams that get top 3 every race, and those teams that are winning the league after each race. So if people are joining partway through the season, we might have to adjust where the points are calculated from, but I'll keep on top of all of that and let you know what's going on with the league. Alright, 2 more slides, then we talk about Australia. Follow the signs. This is one of my teams right here. I'm going Mercedes for the team. George Russell, hoping he can get the wood over Latifi. Norris as my outsider. Ricciardo, because I'm an Aussie and I like the look of him in the Renault after 12 months. Sergio Perez, because I think he's going to have the wood over his teammate as well. And Max Verstappen, I'm thinking he's going to be the dark horse. He's going to be the one to come up behind the Mercedes and really challenge for the championship this season. So he's my dark horse pick. And my second team, the Engine Blockheads, because Fox Blockhead, you know, Engine Blockheads. We have the drivers that I think are going to be not the super top, but the ones that are going to be right there or thereabouts to pick up points, if any go begging. So Bottas and Vettel and Albon are the other 3 top ones. Taking 3 top drivers, I've gone with McLaren as my team, thinking that they'll pick up lots of good scrappy points, bottom of the top 10. Again, George Russell, he was the value pick all season last year, beating his teammate regularly, so I'm going to start with him. And Kevin Magnussen as someone you didn't want to touch Haas last year. He didn't have the best testing. Not many laps put in for him, but I think out of the Haas drivers, he's going to be the one to pick up those team points. Yeah. Alrighty, so the 2021, the 2020 and 1 Australian Formula One Grand Prix, 2020 F1 Australian, I don't know what I was doing there. The 2020 Australian Formula One Grand Prix is this weekend, March 13 to 15, with qualifying 4 p.m. Saturday, March 14th, local time in Melbourne. We are on daylight savings time, so personally, me in Brisbane, GMT plus 10. In Melbourne, they are plus 11 right now. So for me, it's going to be 3 p.m. Lock it away. I'm watching qualifying this weekend. The TV is mine, family. You hear that? So the Australian Formula One Grand Prix, all 10 teams are going to be represented after Ferrari were possibly going to miss out with the coronavirus happening up there. As well, leading into the Australian Formula One Grand Prix is the F1 in Schools Australian finals. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, they are live streaming the finals. They've got Crofty there. He'll be commentating on the racing that they have down there. They'll look at their pit displays. They've got their gala awards dinner. It's a fantastic event. It's something that happens all the way around the world. They have F1 in Schools, so check that out for sure as well. If you'd like to join the league, please do. Show me your teams. Tell me what you're thinking. If you've got any comments, any thoughts, chuck those in there as well. All of the links will be in the description. F1 in Schools, the live streams, the YouTubes. I'll be tweeting out while the live streams are on, because I love F1 in Schools. I think it's a great innovation to try and get school students in there. And I will be talking about the Formula One this season as we go. Hopefully coronavirus stays away and we get a good season. We get to see the drivers. We get to see the atmosphere, feel the engine rumbling. Except for Bahrain, which is going to be cameras only. Poor Bahrain. I shouldn't be laughing. Poor Bahrain. Anyway, my name is Fox Blockhead. This is your preview of the 2020 Formula One Fantasy season. Until the next video, which will come out after the Australian Formula One Grand Prix has done its dash. I'll see you later, alligators.